Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 120 of The Grid, the Patreon exclusive show for the Oblivion Bar, a nerd culture podcast. Aaron, we are live on the normal feed this week because it is episode 120.
Yes.
This is for the folks. This is for the free folks. This is for the normal feed.
This is for the world. It's for the world. Can I share something with you?
Please.
This is a little bit of a shameless plug, but I feel like I've done something amazing here. Okay. So You know that I'm a huge fan of G Fuel, and this is not like our normal running like advertisement, like, hey, drink G Fuel, code OBP. But I've started doing something where I feel like I've kind of like set, when you feel like an adult, you set that bar a little bit higher.
As we often do here on the Oblivion Bar, feeling like an adult. This is where we go to escape from feeling like an adult.
So I've started mixing my G Fuel with like tonic with with tonic water, like bubble water.
Oh, okay. Why?
I just like it feels like it just elevates the flavor. It's
But why does that make you feel like an adult is what I'm curious
because
about.
like I'm not just using fucking tap water, man.
But wouldn't water be more of a healthy option?
No, tonic water is the same. It's just carbonated.
Oh, okay.
It's like club soda.
I'm a little befuddled as to why tonic is the healthier, more adult version.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a healthier adult version. G Fuel itself is already like, it's got the antioxidants, zero sugar, all that, blah, blah, blah.
We've heard the ad, Aaron.
I know. But I'm just saying, like, normally it's just like flat. It's like drinking just like a flat mixed in a shaker energy drink. And it's good, but put some carbonation in it.
Sure.
And it's just
chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
All right. Well, okay. I'm glad you made that revelation. Everyone, this is what you get on the grid. This is where we get the things that I stop Aaron from saying on the normal show. You get it over here on the grid. So welcome. This is a preview for our normal weekly event.
I should bring back the soundboard.
No soundboard. No soundboard. Maybe. Can I give you a maybe?
I'll take a maybe.
All right, we'll talk about it. We're going into our next 10 episodes, so we like to keep things fresh.
Yes,
right. Keep things spicy. Yeah. So maybe I'll give you one button that you can just use randomly.
It's my belly button.
I got a belly button.
I got a belly button.
Oh man, yeah. And the thing is, we would be having like a serious moment. I'd be talking about like the intricacies of like Mobius and the way that it makes me feel to read Silver Surfer Parable, and how like I question my existence and God and the universe and all these things.
Me of good and evil.
And you would just play the Senso Bean button right after the end of it, just completely ruin all of that emotional.
I am the hype.
All right, buddy. Welcome to the grid. This week, nothing really on the docket necessarily. Aaron, you spent the entire morning in Soho at a free Batman event. Want to tell the people a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, I would love to. So basically, I got a little card here that kind of has all the information on it. But today is celebrating 85 years of Batman's first appearance in Detective Comics number 27 from May 1939. And so, excuse me. Basically certain books like newspaper kind of like, I guess, because comics were initially sold from like newspaper stands, they kind of went to these Soho International like news and bookstores and did I guess they call it an activation,
Sure.
And so they were giving away copies of this facsimile Batman Detective Comics, and it looks beautiful. Like
iconic cover.
I don't really normally subscribe or get like facsimiles. For some reason it just feels kind of disingenuous to me, but Batman's kind of a difference. Like it's set apart, and so because you'll never see these iconic. It's like if you got a facsimile of like a Superman, like him holding the car above his head, that first
Action Comics,
like it's amazing, and it's almost art, and so it's like
you'll never be able to hold that single issue in your hand unless it's a I you know what I mean.
And if you are, then something's wrong with you. You've committed a crime.
Mistakes were made.
How did I get here? I woke up in jail. But yeah, so this is kind of a cool thing. There's like 8 different outlets all around New York City. I just realized looking at this, I just looked at this piece of paper that they gave me with it, and there was a much closer location than the one I went to.
Aaron had to take a train all the way into the city.
I rode the train for like an hour and a half to get to this place, and there's one at this place. It's like 10 minutes. It's like a 10-minute drive from me.
Of course.
Anyways, it was a journey. I had a great time. I met some phenomenal people. The people behind it, like check out the post on our Instagram and our other socials. It was really cool. They gave away these little like popsicles because they basically were trying to make it feel like you're a kid again. You're getting some ice cream, you're getting this cool comic. It really made it I don't know, it felt fun. I had a good time doing it. Just like standing in line talking to other fans. All the people at the Soho International were wearing cool Batman shirts. They set up this like cool just like little area. I was second in line, and the line ended up going all the way around the corner down the block on the other side.
Damn.
So
that's awesome.
it was wild. And I mean, I did get there kind of early. I thought it started at 10. It started at 11. I got there at 9. And I was second in line.
Well,
third if you count the old lady that I had to boot out of the way.
That's really cool. I'm glad that things like that still happen. You know, we posted all of our socials. So if you want to see Aaron and all of his glory at this event, it's all in our socials on at Oblivion Bar Pod on Instagram. So check that out.
Chris, do you like Batman comics?
You know, no, I don't. Batman's pretty terrible, as I say. If anyone could see my camera, I have an entire if there's one character that has an entire shelf of comics, it's Batman. Like this whole shelf behind me, Aaron. You see this?
Yeah,
all Batman.
I know, but the reason I'm asking if you liked it was because I was gonna tell you live on the grid that I got you one too.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Aaron's love language is getting me comics. Everybody, just so you know, anytime we haven't been together for a bit, he'll just show up and he'll have just a cornucopia of comics, just comics that he gathered of like, I was at a shop and I thought of you when I saw this. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's an iconic thing, man. You're never going to see this again.
Did you know that the Joker is killed in that first issue?
Good.
Good. Batman is a fucking murderer in Detective Comics 27. Good. Like straight up murders him.
He deserves it. He's a bad person.
Yeah. That's the only comic that Zack Snyder read. It was that and The Dark Knight Returns. He's like, oh, so he just kills. Oh, perfect. We'll just go that way then. But anyway,
I was hoping for a little bit more of a reaction, but it's okay.
What do you mean? I said thank you.
Just fucking with you. Oh my God! I just pooped my pants.
I did poop my pants, but that was besides the point.
That was because of comics.
Yeah, I wanted to point out really quickly that Aaron, we were actually showcased in a article from Sketch.com, which it's called "We Want to Have This Conversation with More Than Just Us: An Exploration of connection between comics and podcast." This is by David Harper. He is, of course, the host of Off Panel, which, Aaron, I know you don't listen to a ton of other podcasts, but I will say that Off Panel, and everyone listening right now, I'm sure you probably know this, but Off Panel is the tippy top of what we do here. Like what David does is he is like the NPR of the comic book podcasting world. Like the who's who in the comic book world go on his show to talk about whatever shit they need to promote or whatever stuff they want to put out into the world. So the fact that David reached out to us, our good friends, Brad and Lisa from the Comic Book Couples Counseling, also fellow patrons, Botter Milligan of the Short Box, also a fellow patron, John Suntrist, who is, if David is like the NPR, John over at Word Balloon, he's been doing it since I think like the early 90s. Like he is one of the longest running, he has had a podcast for a long time, but he's been doing like a radio show for even longer than that. He would be like the, I don't know, who is that old talk show host, like the original talk show host,
like Maury or
no. Like I'm talking like the late night with who was it before? It was
Leno,
Jay Leno. Who was it before Jay Leno?
Oh God,
we'll just say Jay Leno for this reference, But yeah, just one of the old heads that's been doing it for a long time. He also reached out to Matthew Rosenberg, who's actually a comic book writer, a very successful comic book writer. He has a podcast called Ideas Don't Bleed, which I think essentially what he wanted kind of different corners of the comic book podcast. This, of course, Matthew's show, Ideas Don't Bleed, would be a comic book writer hosting a podcast about comics. So he was like that corner. We were like the all-encompassing of nerd culture, but with mostly comics. I think Botter was, the long running. He's been doing the short box for 13 years now, which is wild to think about. And then Brad and Lisa, who of course have their own shtick, which is, hey, we're like this warm, awesome couple that also loves comics and talks about comics and interviews creators. So if you guys want to check that out, sketch.com. It's also, we've got a link in our bio on Instagram if you want to check it out. But it is, it's just very cool to be recognized and showcased in an article among folks who we not only admire, but are friends. So shout out to David for that. He's also been on the show as well. So I wanted to point that out really quick. But what else? What else, Aaron, have we done? Battle Royale was this last week. That was fun.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been posting all the reels and the polls and such. So we'll get those out to everybody next week because we're obviously off this next week, which is why this is coming out on the normal feed.
Win.
Aaron is currently losing the series. Is it 2-1 or 3-1?
3-1.
3-1.
This is number 5. It's 3-1.
Yeah.
I mean, who's counting?
Who's counting though, right? But yeah, I really, really love that episode. Aaron, have you had a chance to listen to that yet or not?
Not the whole way through. Not the whole way through. But I listened to it on the train this morning, and then yeah.
I'm excited for you to get to the Godzilla Aegon part because I put a lot of work into that. People who have listened to that episode probably know what I'm talking about. So when you get there, let me know because I'm curious. But I was sitting down editing together our Jason Aaron interview that we had a couple weeks ago, talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Uncle Scrooge and Berserker and all the things, Action Comics that he's working on. Really, really love that interview. Aaron, I know you weren't present for that, but I'm excited for you to eventually listen to that because It is very turtle centric, I will say.
I am excited because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of those core, I guess, threads to my being as a nerd.
Sure.
And I feel like I think that's the interesting thing about comics is you could be like a huge nerd in something and be huge into the fandom, and comics are still like one aspect that feel like they'll always escape you because there's so much to it. And the Turtles, I mean, they're on the road to 150 right now. They're about to hit some huge milestones. Jason Aaron taking over. Like there's a lot going on. There's so many spin-offs, Last Ronin 2, Re-Evolution, like all this stuff. It's crazy how much stuff is going on with it. And
they also have the what is it called? I have it right here actually. It's called the Black, White, and Green series. You heard about that?
Yeah.
Where they've got like different creators on. It's kind of like an anthology. It's like 2 creators doing a 6-page turtle story, and it's like 4 of those in one issue. Yeah, which is really awesome.
I love that stuff, but it's hard to feel. You feel like you almost lost like a portion of your like coolness factor or like your points when it comes to like fandom because I realize how out of touch I am with Turtles comics, and I'm excited to listen to that episode because of that. I feel like, and maybe that's the benefit of podcasts, I feel like that is a way to hear from the artist who's taking over and maybe get some introspective on that piece of the fandom that you might be missing as a fan.
Yeah. I think you're really going to like it because, again, now that I'm going through and editing it, I really appreciate what kind of the core idea of what Jason's bringing to this book, which is at the time of the beginning of his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book, and we don't know a ton about it. He's been really tight-lipped. So is IDW. They've been really, really secretive about what's going to be happening. But the one thing he does say is that when we pick up with the brothers, they have all separated. They've all gone their separate ways, and something has to bring them back together. And he talks about in our conversation how he wanted to emulate this idea of like obviously they're teenagers, but like going back to this idea of who the Turtles have been this entire time that we've known them since the early 80s to now. This idea of what we have of the connection of these brothers and how something can take them apart and what has to bring them together. So for instance, like, think of a friend that you had in high school that you were very, very close to. You saw all the time. You hung out with on Friday, Saturday, went to the movies together, played sports together, all the things. And then think about, do you still talk to them today? Because I don't talk to any of my friends from high school. And I wonder, it's sad in one instance, but at the same time, you grow, right? Like you grow as a person, you change rapidly through your early 20s and your 30s. And to go back and talk to those 2 people who you were as a young person and as the person you are today, like in one way, you're essentially the same person, but in another way, you're a wildly different person.
Yeah.
So I just really appreciate that about Jason, his approach with these characters.
Shout out to my boy Constantine I'm not going to drop his last name. Shout out to my boy Constantine, who we were friends. Like, that's how we met in high school. You know, we moved in the same neighborhood. We were out riding bicycles. And one day he rides up on me. I ride up on him. He's like, hey, man, you want to ride bicycles together? Hell yeah. And we've been friends ever since.
Love that. Can I ask you a question really quick? Not the e-brake, even though that's what we do here on the grid.
One would say we are segueing.
Yeah, we're segueing. We're staying on brand here on the grid. We just bop, 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 bop.
Segueing is our brand.
We should get a sponsor from Segway. What are they doing right now? They're not in malls anymore. So could we get on there? Just imagine us at like San Diego Comic-Con on some Segways. sponsored by the Oblivion Bar. Okay, so you've said this a couple times, and I'm curious. I don't want to start a fight here on the grid, Aaron. All right, I don't want to argue. I'm just curious because there have been a couple times on the show here recently where I've mentioned Harry Potter, and I'm currently wearing a Ravenclaw hat right now. For everyone wondering
what's happening,
and you'll be like, "Well, I don't like Harry Potter," or "Why would someone like Harry Potter?" or whatever. Why do you say that? I'm curious.
First off, I never said that I didn't like Harry Potter.
Do you remember in our battle royale when I think I picked Voldemort, and you're like, I don't know why anybody would pick Voldemort. Why was that? Why do you say that?
I will have to. Did I say that?
You did say it. And I left it in the show. I was going to expose you. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay, call me out, my friend. Do it.
What? Why? I'm just curious. Why is that your reaction? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear you say it with your dirty little mouth.
I don't know, to be honest. Maybe it was like a knee-jerk reaction. But I mean, obviously, you know, I guess I'm going to show my ignorance here. I'm uneducated. I don't know the situation with J.K. Rowling and her being a TERF and some of those things. But at the same time,
a turfy turd.
I absolutely respect separating. Again, I respect separating the creation from the creator.
Sure.
So I don't know. Maybe it was because you know, Voldemort is just in my head. He's just a dick. The boy who lived, come to die.
We can't say Voldemort without doing that at some point. It's impossible. It literally is impossible.
Got your nose. But no, I mean,
I can touch you. Are you Parcel Tongue?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah. We're getting off topic.
Sorry. And I haven't even had G Fuel. You have. I haven't even had it.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably it. Like, I'm probably in this mindset where it's kind of like, for me, it's a little bit harder. I appreciate separating the creator from the creation.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's a little bit harder to do that, even though I accept people and, you know, who are able to do it better than I. And I don't, again, we don't yuck anybody's yums here on the Oblivion Bar podcast. So I apologize. I apologize if I said anything that made it seem, you know, the other way, like that. I don't, you know,
I wasn't fishing for an apology.
Yeah.
Here. I mean, I appreciate you doing that, but like, that's not what I want. I was just curious why you had that thought, because I had this really interesting journey with Harry Potter, because obviously I'm like the exact age, literally, like I grew up with the books. Every year that I was in elementary, going into middle school, and then even into high school, a Harry Potter book came out. And I think I'm the exact age as Harry and his friends as they grew, right? So I very vividly remember buying Prisoner of Azkaban as like a third grader, right?
Yeah.
I even wrote to J.K. Rowling, you know, as a young person, and she wrote back, or at least her publicist did. So somebody did.
That's adorable.
And you know, when I went through cancer last year, what did I do the entire time? The entire time.
Hardcore binged. What is it? Legacy?
Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah. That's all I did literally for like months, was play Hogwarts Legacy.
And again, like, that's totally cool. There's no issue with that. And like I said, I know you weren't fishing for an apology, but I feel like maybe I owe it to you and anybody else that may have picked up on the fact that I'm not okay with liking J.K. Rowling or the Harry Potter universe, because no, not the fact. I do not like J.K. Rowling. If that is, again, this is where my ignorance sets in, where I do not know if she actually is still saying those things, if she's actually still of that, like, idea. And if she is, fuck her. But if she's not, thank you for growing. Thank you for becoming a better person. If she hasn't, fuck her. And then
I'm of two minds here, because on one hand, I think there's a very radical part, and this is getting way off the rails, guys. I apologize, but I need to say this because as I said a moment ago. Yeah, exactly. As I said a moment ago, I went on this wild journey with like Harry Potter because I also was conflicted for a bit. I was like, I want to be an ally. I want to be a friend to folks who are, the disenfranchised, those who are trying to figure out their sexuality or their gender or what have you. I want to be that person that supports them in whatever they do. Right. But I wanted to figure out, did I hate J.K. Rowling for no reason? Am I just listening to the masses? So I tried to do my own research. I listened to the witch trials of J.K. Rowling, and I think here's my official stance on J.K. Rowling. Number one, I do not think she is a TERF. I think that she has been radicalized into this. She basically was trying to defend her femininity. Like she's a staunch feminist, like to her core. Yeah. Right. And like, she is very vocal about that. So I think what she was trying to say was that like, we should not subside female rights for another gender or otherwise. We shouldn't like women have been displaced since the beginning of time. We shouldn't, the moment they start to get something, take it away from them again. Right. I think that's what she was trying to say. But here's where I'm of two minds, because since she said all that and everyone started attacking her and all these things, she has just doubled down and will not shut up about it. And the thing is, she has a platform. She's got millions of followers on Twitter and social media and all these things. She's one of the most famous writers in our generation. Just shut up for a bit. Like if you have these things that you believe, that's totally fine, but let it simmer. Like she just keeps doubling down. And that to me feels like maybe she was trying to say something. I don't know. But the point is, I agree with you 100%. I love Harry Potter separate. Like I love Thriller, right? I love College Dropout. That's Kanye West's first album. I love Cthulhu. H.P. Lovecraft was a giant racist. Like I love all these things that like someone, like Alan Moore is a freak, but I love all of his work. You know what I mean? So you can separate for sure. I think. Yeah. I think that's smart.
And I think also there's something there is an argument to be said for the fact that regardless of what J.K. Rowling feels about her creation in the universe and the world that she did create, it has outgrown her.
Oh, absolutely.
And it stands for much more than what she probably intended. Mm-hmm. And despite what she says to ruin that or to bring it down or to change its intent, you cannot do that, especially when you have an entire multi-generational like group of hardcore fans that love the world that she built. But one could imagine that our thoughts and our imaginations and our dreams and the things that we put into this have built it to be much more than what she defines it as. And I think that that's important to remember. And especially like when it comes to like what you went through, you used it as an escape, as something to focus on during a really bad time in your life. And it's given you kind of a new sense of, of adoration for that kind of universe. And I respect that. Absolutely. I don't think and again, I feel like that is another brick in a diagonally wall that just opens the doorway to something that she cannot even touch anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a young adults book series, everybody. This is what we're talking about, right? Like it could have easily died at just being that, but it was people that are passionate about that universe who created Pottermore and these forums who loved the series and loved this material that made it like it would have never gone past that had it not been for the fans, right? So I agree 100%. Let's get off our Harry Potter soapbox here.
I just wanted to say that I grew up with Harry Potter as well, and I remember going to the bookstore and like waiting for the like release day of those books because I too read them and I loved them and I enjoyed the movies, and I'm one of those people that will sit down and watch those movies when they come on during holiday times, even though the first one's fucking terrible.
The first two are really bad.
Yeah. Come on, Harry. Okay, anyway, that's it. That's all I want to say.
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
She said it the same way. I don't care what anybody says.
She said it the same way, everybody. What is going on? All right, let's give out another nickname. So everybody that's listening right now, each week on the grid, this is like a new perk. When we restructured our Patreon a couple of months ago, we decided to give out a nickname to our $10 tier members. So if you're a $10 tier member, each week we will give you a nickname based on something that we know about you, something we like about you, or maybe it's just something random because, hey, that's what we do here. So actually, let me go over the previous one. So Travis, he is the official Dr. Indiana Jones of the show.
Jones.
Dr. Jones. Christy, which is my mom, she is the official mama bear of the grid. We've got Kyle, who is the official defensive coordinator, which you actually, can I make a quick rebuttal or a quick edit to this? You gave what was the saying that you said in our
win one for the Gipper?
The Gipper. Can we make a change and call him the official Gipper of the show?
Sure.
I think that's better. It's a little more unique. So Kyle, you're officially the official Gipper of the show. All right. That'll work. And then this week we've got Robert. Robert Donaldson was a regular of mine when I was in St. Louis. He's one of my favorite people in St. Louis. When he has always been so supportive of the show since the very beginning, Aaron, through COVID and everything. He was often, anytime he would come in, he would talk about the show. We've posted pictures of him with t-shirts that he's bought back when we were being sponsored by the one store. I can't remember their names now, but he and his son both were avid, not only listeners, but friends of the show. So Robert, he has been a patron since April 30th of 2022. He's been a $10 tier member. So shout out to Robert.
Big Rob.
That's right. He is a big Detroit sports fan. So he loves the Red Wings. He loves the Tigers. I want to name him, unless you have another suggestion, Aaron. What's something nerdy that happened in Detroit? Is there a movie?
RoboCop.
Is there RoboCop? Oh, okay, perfect. I was gonna say something sports related, but I like that better. So, what's some of your favorite RoboCop quotes or references? What would you say? I'm gonna hand this off to you since you're the RoboCop fanatic.
Let's see.
What are those big Ed
Ed
machines?
209.
Ed 209?
You don't have to finish your sentence. I know what the fuck you're talking about.
I made the gesture, the wide.
Drop your weapon. You have 5 seconds to comply. 4, 3. Just 30 seconds of unloading on that fucking guy.
Do you like that, or do you want to think about it a little longer?
Let's see. We could call him the official Ed 209 of the podcast, or I'm trying to think. Man,
what's the name of the company that makes RoboCop?
OCP.
Oh, okay.
Omni Consumer Products. He could be the president of OCP.
The official president of OCP?
Yeah.
All right. Official president of the OCP of the show. OCP president of the show?
Yep. Okay. It's either that or we call him the he's what is the drug that they use in that show? Now I can't remember it, but it's now I gotta Google this. Drug from RoboCop. Nuke.
This is what we do here, everybody.
The official nuke dealer.
The official nuke dealer? I like that.
Yeah.
That one, I think it might be it. All right. Well, Robert, hopefully you enjoyed that. Nuke dealer of the show. Perfect. All right. Well, there's another name. Next week, we're going to give one out to George, who, Aaron, that you're good friends with, and he's been a patron since May of 2022. So, George, unless you cancel your membership between now and next week, you get a nickname. So, again, and thank you to everybody who's supporting the Patreon in general. Of course, everyone's on the normal feed is listening to this right now, but this is what you get when you come over to, hang out with us on Patreon.
Yeah,
it's one of the perks.
It's a good time. This is just us kind of going along with the flow. There was something else that I wanted to talk about that I probably completely forgot.
Was it us defending our movies that we wanted to?
No,
we talked about?
No, because I think I was gonna say something of yeah. I just want to humble brag. I'm gonna humble brag that Alicia Keys retweeted me.
Okay.
Alicia Keys retweeted me.
What was the tweet? To tell the people, I know what it is, but just for the folks.
So if you guys go over to my Twitter, which is at Better Actions, I went and saw her new stage show, her new Broadway show, which is called Hell's Kitchen, and it's based off obviously the borough in New York City called Hell's Kitchen, and it's about, I would say it's loosely related on her childhood, but it's all like 90% of the soundtrack is music from her discography. But I'm not going to lie. This is one of the best shows I have ever seen on a stage. And like I tweeted that. I said, this is a hands down one of the best shows. It's got full of heart. So obviously the music is amazing, but the cast has to bring all that to life. Like it's basically set in the 90s. So it's got the 90s dance moves, like the Kid and Play.
Yeah.
You know, it's got like they're wearing Jinko jeans and they're wearing FUBU. It's got the fashion, the dance, the music is, again, this is just like a phenomenal show. So I tweeted that and she ended up retweeting me and I was like, you know, humble brag.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I love whenever, you know, artist or whomever, they actually acknowledge when people like praise them. Cause I feel like maybe this is my pessimist coming out, but I feel like a lot of times when celebrities react to things on social media, it's only negative stuff. Like they'll just like try to defend themselves instead of posting the probably hundreds of millions of things that people are saying that's nice about them, you know? So that's just social media in general. It kind of entices people to, you know, that kind of embrace the hate a little bit because they know it's going to get clicks and attention and engagement and whatnot. But anyway, that's another topic. But Aaron, we had one other thing we wanted to do. We're at 30 minutes. Do you want to do it or do you want to save that for episode 121 of The Grid?
Let's leave them hanging.
Leave him hanging?
Look, a little teaser. Let's give him a little, just a little teaser. Because
I feel like that conversation. Okay, so everyone that's listening right now, just so you know, Aaron and I, we were going to do defend a movie that like one of us loves that the other one doesn't. So, Aaron, do you know yours, by the way? Do you have the movie that you're going to defend?
No, honestly,
because I have mine. I know I found it as we were talking. Like I found the one that I think I love that you don't really love. We actually covered it on the show too.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah. Can you want me to tell?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. Right?
Did I defend that one as good?
No. You didn't like it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I literally liked it.
I was like, no.
The thing is, we are of one mind a lot of times. Like we are often, we like the same things, but every blue moon, like I'm thinking, Welcome to Raccoon City, The Flash. Is there another one?
You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's give him
right now.
Let's do him a little. Throw him a little extra time.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I guess this is going the normal feed, so we can do that. All right. So do you know which movie?
Okay. So this is okay. Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. What is yours?
The Flash.
Okay. All right. I was pretty honest with my thoughts on that initial review.
Yes.
If you guys want to go back and find that review, it wasn't that long ago. It was only last year.
Yeah.
So, okay, sure. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. See, that's not fair because usually the argument at the end is always the one that's more powerful.
Okay, then I'll go first.
You want to go first? Okay.
I'll go first. Okay. Right. So, we both discussed The Flash very much in detail. Much in detail. And when we had this initial conversation, because I went back and I checked the notes and I thought about this, one of your biggest complaints was that the graphics were ass quality.
That's verbatim. These graphics be ass.
Be ass. It be like that sometimes. Okay,
it be like that. You know,
it do.
It do be like that.
It do be like that. Now, okay, and here's the thing where I'm going to defend it, but I'm also going to slightly secede in my argument of how good this movie was.
This argument's not starting off well, but keep going.
But one of the things that you hated right from the beginning was the scene with the babies.
Yeah, that's fair to say, I think.
Which I understand. which is fair. But at the same time, they're all graphics. They're fake. He rescues all of them, including the dog. And
by putting one of them in a microwave.
By putting one in a microwave that wasn't even plugged in. Okay, it wasn't even plugged in. I'm just saying, was not plugged in. But the point is, look beyond it because it was still like, he's still a new hero. He's still not the quickest on his feet. Like he's not, like he shows, yes, pun intended.
I was like, I gave a look because I'm like, he's not the quickest on his feet because he is like literally the quickest.
He is quick on his physically, like in what's the word? Like
in his processes and his mind, like his mind.
Literally the quickest, metaphorically not the quickest on his feet. Okay,
that's very true. Yeah, this version of the Flash is very stupid.
He is very much a younger version of the Flash. He's young at heart. He still has to think things through because a lot of this stuff is like, yes, like why would you put a baby in a microwave? Like it's the only way to protect it from this explosion that's about to happen, which makes sense. But maybe you could have chosen, let's go up with the car. Let's go up with not back. Let's go up with the car. If you've ever seen Hancock, it's a reference to Hancock. So I just want to argue the fact that this movie had a lot of heart to it, and I think that there are a lot of things that you are looking at kind of like you have when you went in this movie. I feel like, and this is just again, they say in therapy, use things like I feel like, because you can't assume that that's what they're thinking. I feel like you went into this movie with very high expectations, which is understandable, but at the same time,
everyone was saying how amazing it was.
Yes, at the same time, I think that the movie itself was still really fun, had a lot of heart, and brought back, Michael Keaton as the Batman, as a version of a Batman that we all love. Even George Clooney was in it. Like there were still so many things that were, like, I would say slightly redeeming of this and really enjoyable. And I get when we talked about things that we talked about during the argument when we reviewed this movie, we talked about how it seemed like a lot of the characters weren't even in the same room and they probably were just green screened in there because it's like a lot of those didn't really feel genuine. But also, if you go back and you watch those, they're very not like from the original film. It's still a very odd vibe from those original, like the Man of Steel film. So
like when they go back in time to Zod and such.
Yes. So I feel like that some of this stuff is kind of understandable because they're actually trying to make they're trying to emphasize the jarring feeling of him going back in time and having to deal this. Like they're trying to set that tone and emphasize like out of time feeling. So I think that there's a lot of elements to that movie that maybe we're not considering because it just may take like another watch or another bit of understanding.
No, I think I'm good. I think I've seen it enough. I've seen it one time.
No, I think I'm fine
actually. I think I'm good because this movie. Can the plaintiff take the stand? May I?
Go.
All right. This movie is fucking ghoulish. This whole shit, it's hollow. It like all these things that you're naming about Michael Keaton being in it and George Clooney and Michael Shannon as General Zod, the references, all of this is just, it's again, I think I say it in the review and I'm gonna stick by it. It's like those Easter bunny giant chocolates that you bite into and there's nothing in the middle. The ultimate disappointment as a kid. That's what this movie is. It throws a bunch of these things that they think that we're gonna like. And it just falls short because there's no care behind it. We talked about it in the review, but this script went through, I think, 5 rewrites and they just kept adding shit on top of it because the universe kept changing, because Warner Brothers kept changing their direction of their DCEU. And it's obvious. I mean, that whole opening scene with Wonder Woman and Batman is like ripped. That's supposed to happen like right after Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. And they put this weird filter on it that makes it all bright and shit. My point, I think ultimately, I could nitpick this thing all day long, but I think why I hate this movie so much is that the tone is all over the place. One of the Barrys that I'm supposed to be behind the entire movie is an absolute knucklehead and an idiot. If I am not immediately swept up and loving seeing Michael Keaton back as Batman, that should be your biggest indicator that I am not having a good time. Like that, if that was all I could get out of this movie, I would have been fine. Like I would have been total. This movie would have been just fine. And just to kind of remind folks, Aaron, you gave it a 3.5. I gave it 1. So had Michael Keaton somehow saved this movie, but and I say all this, but also like, why should that be his responsibility? Shouldn't this movie be about the Flash? Shouldn't we be behind Flash? And yes, there are moments in the movie, I think, that they were starting to trend towards some kind of heartfelt moment. But ultimately, it all fell short because not only were they leaning on jokes, but the tone was everywhere. Like they would do a sad thing and then they would end it with a joke, or they would start joking and then there would be a sad thing. Like I hate it.
I'm going to rewatch this again.
Please do.
I'm going to rewatch this again.
Enjoy.
And I'm going to see because again, I hear what you're saying. Okay, Chris, your feelings are valid. You are heard. You are safe.
We didn't even mention that whole time travel scene with the weird wax.
We don't have to.
Half the people that were in that didn't even agree to be in it. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally all I have to say.
Got it.
All right. So nothing's changed. You still like it and I still hate it, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get into Raccoon City then.
I feel so defeated right now.
Sorry. And I think you felt the same way because a lot of times in the review, I mean, because when we talk about it, when we review things on the show, we often try to find the things that like the silver lining. We try to talk mostly about the things that we like. And if we don't like it, we won't try to harp on it too much.
You were adamant that there was no silver lining. Very
Absolutely
much so.
not. Nope. Not a thing. I'm trying to think of like one thing that I liked about it. Like I truly am trying to like.
You like Cara L.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah. I think Sasha Calais as Cara Zor-El, she was kind of cool, but like they did nothing with her and they murder her at the end. So like we're not getting more of her. She's done. She's a dunzo. All right. Let's get into Resident Evil Raccoon City. Welcome to Raccoon City, which came out in, when was this? I want to say it was 2021, height of COVID, came out direct to, I think it was Amazon, perhaps. It went straight to VOD, if I'm not mistaken, but I did see it in theaters. We covered it on the show. I can't remember what rating we gave it. I'd have to go back and listen, but I really like this movie. I guess I'll go first since this is my movie, but I think that I guess I can understand why some folks didn't connect with it super well, but if I can say, growing up, Resident Evil was this giant thing for me. Like I think when I think back to my childhood, the first thing that comes to mind is like Toonami, WWE, or I guess WWF at that time, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, and Resident Evil. Those were like my biggest kind of, and comics of course, but like those are kind of like my biggest fandoms as a kid. And I think what Raccoon City does really well is it kind of captures that perfect blend of like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Like they basically, what I think the director, it's Johannes Roberts, I think what the plan was to go, what are the video games? What are they good at? Survival horror. Let's just do that. Let's like not even try to stray too far from the source material. Let's just do exactly what the video games are. And I think while there are certain elements of this movie that I think are pretty bland and not well done, specifically the CGI and some of the acting, especially the third act. The third act is pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. I think what they capture in the first two acts, and especially with the cast, you know, I'm thinking of like Hannah John Kamen, who plays Jill Valentine. You've got Tom Hopper as Albert Wesker. You've got, I don't know how to say her name, but it's like Kaya Sorrenderino, I think is how you say her name. Robbie Amell.
Scodelario.
Kaya Scodelario. Thank you. Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield. So, and you had the one guy, what's his name? Ivan Goriana. Is that how you say his name?
Ivan Yoga?
Okay. Yeah. As Leon. Anyway, I think that a lot of this just works for me. I think it just does what I want it to do. And when I look at it in the sense that it's just trying to be the video game, I'm okay with that. Like it's not, I don't want this to be thought-provoking, highbrow, entertainment. I want to just watch folks try to survive a zombie apocalypse. And I think it does that okay.
I just wish, and again, because to be honest, I don't really even remember what my arguments were.
I think you just said it looked bad and it wasn't acted well. And I agree.
Yeah, that might
for the most part.
That might have been it. You know what it was? I think it was some of the choices. Cause like, it was a Doval Log or Donal Log.
Oh, as Chief Irons. Yeah.
As Chief Irons. I think he was the only one that I was like, okay, he's believable.
Yeah. What about Milik Dunno just going way over the top as William Birkin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my biggest kind of argument in this was like thinking about it now. And again, I would actually be willing to rewatch this one because I could tell from the trailers, when I watch the trailers again, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And I remember the excitement that I had prior to it coming out. And I was like, this is going to be good. I'm excited for it. But I feel like, honestly, what the one thing that really kind of took that away from me was the fact that they could have made a clear decision to make it very much more like the video game, where it was, again, just give me one that's inside the mansion.
Yeah. They just bypassed that. They went straight to Resident Evil 2, which is in the police station.
If they would have just done this one, like they did the first movie with Mila Jovovich,
Yeah.
it would have been phenomenal. It would have been self-contained. It would have been like a mansion focused story with the thing in the bottom, and like you wouldn't have had this weird creepy girl with like a human flesh skin suit.
I don't know what she's from. I think she's from like the later games that I haven't played. I don't know. Because she's the daughter of one of the creators of Umbrella, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
She's like from number 5, I think it was 4 or 5.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, it was just like there was a lot of weird choices that to me could have really been like weeded out early on,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have made for a more concise, like scarier story. Again, great cast. This cast is really good, but I really feel like they all just majority of them called it, like, phoned it in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. And I think I meant to say this as well. I'm glad you brought it up. The Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil films, really like the first one. Second one's okay. I think second one's pretty much on par with this. Like it's pretty much essentially kind of Resident Evil 2 and 3 mixed together again for some reason. But once they start going off the rails with those movies,
which is funny because that's the shortest one. Like number 2 is like the shortest one.
Yeah, it is. It is the shortest one. Yeah,
yeah. But this is how I know, like, it's not a great series.
Yeah,
because I love all of the Resident Evil movies with Mila Jovovich because of how bad they are.
Right.
Like there's such popcorn films. They're as good as Monster Hunter was with Mila Jovovich, and I enjoyed
which
that.
Was also done by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Exactly, because it's stupid.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a really interesting lore to Resident Evil. I just think it's a weird property to try to adapt because what makes Resident Evil special is the survivability of the video games. Like what makes them compelling is that you, as a young person in the early 90s, had to survive. I mean, it was essentially one of the very first survival horror video games, right? Yeah. That's what made it so special. And to watch someone, it'd be like, Aaron, you playing Resident Evil and me watching you play it, right? That's not as fun, right?
But that's the exact experience I had with Resident Evil when I was a kid.
And you enjoyed that?
I had a friend, well, we took turns playing it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You know, and that's because it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I still remember, like, the original Resident Evil game, even the second one, I still remember the first time I was, like, shit my pants scared when I played that game.
Some pizza rolls next to you and a Mountain Dew Code Red.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, any change to your thoughts on Welcome to Raccoon City? Did I compel you with my, hey, it's shitty, but I like it kind of argument?
No, I think more so I compel myself to watch it again and give it maybe another shot. If that is any answer to you saying anything, maybe, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to kind of feel the same exact way. Sure. But I'm willing to watch it again.
Okay. I am not willing to watch The Flash again. I'm good, actually. I'm fine.
I will be fine here.
Yeah. Maybe one day. There have been movies that I like vividly and know for a fact that I don't like, and I've gone back and tried to rewatch, i.e. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Man of Steel's okay. I
like to call it the Just Ice League.
I've definitely gone back to watch both Fantastic Four or Fan Four Stick, and I've seen Batman v Superman a handful of times, which reminds me, Aaron, we still have a Batman v Superman audio commentary. We've been at 25 members for a bit. We're at 28 right now. So we owe them. We owe the patrons. So, hey, another perk. If you're still listening to episode 120 of The Grid here on the free version, if you want that audio commentary of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, we've owed our programs, as we call them, that for quite a bit. And yeah, programs and David. Shout out to David. So, and speaking of which, before we close out this episode of The Grid, because we're almost at an hour, I want to say thank you to Sean. Sean joining the Patreon officially. He did and again, this is a perk. You can join the Patreon for free, 7 days for free. Pick your tier, whatever tier you want to try out. Try it out for 7 days for free. And if you like it, bam, you're in. Like you can just join along. And that's what Sean did. And we appreciate Sean for joining us over here on the Patreon. So
thanks,
shout out.
Sean.
That's right.
Shout
out. Aaron, anything else you want to say to the folks before we close out episode 120?
No, I think I would just like to say, again, we said this at the beginning, this is going out on the worldwide release. So generally, we have the grid for our Patreon specific, members, just like you said. Yeah, and I really hope that people enjoy this, because this is, our chance to kind of like go off topic, off format, and just really lay into some shit. And I think this is a perfect episode to kind of showcase off what the grid is, showcase what the grid is, because we've laughed, we've cried, we've thought about each other,
and we've grown
emotions, and we've grown
truly. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I think we've done it. I think we've officially closed out episode 120 of the grid. So as of March 30th, 2024, we have 120 episodes of the grid logged in, and we have 150 episodes of the normal show logged in.
Damn.
So that's crazy. 270 episodes total of just Oblivion Bar content, not to mention other random shit that we've done throughout the last 4 years. And our was it 4-year anniversary is coming up, Aaron. Let me get you an official date here. I'm going to look it up in our calendar. It's in April, mid-April. April 16th is our fourth birthday. So anything we want to do?
I'm going to take a sexy picture with a cake.
I like that. Oh, should we mention that we have a panel at C2E2? I think we should probably mention that.
Probably should.
Everybody listening right now, if you're going to be at C2E2 at the end of April, both Aaron and I are going to join Botter, who we talked about earlier, and Greg Lichtai of the First Issue Club for a live crossover recording of our 3 shows joined together to talk about all the things. So if you are in the Chicago area, if you're going to C2E2, please join us on, I think it's April 26th at 11:15. So come join us, come hang out. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be blasting all of that stuff throughout the next month, along with again, fellow patron of the show, Elliot, made us a really cool graphic that we haven't shown anyone yet, but I think, Aaron, it's fair to say that we're both very excited about it.
This is by far my favorite. I almost bought the inspirational.
Oh, sure. Is it expensive? Is it an expensive cover?
No, a graded version is.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think like a nice version is probably worth a pretty penny, but I think you could probably find like a decent version for less than $40, maybe.
I kind of want I want a comic size of it, so that I can like display it next to that if I do buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that'd be
absolutely.
Cool.
All right, let's close this thing out. We're almost at an hour. So again, thank you to all our patrons for, of course, continuing to support the show, helping us make the show better, just joining us. It truly does mean a lot. This is honestly the best way to support the show, and Aaron and I cannot even put into words how much we appreciate folks who come over. It always,
absolutely,
it's always a fun thing that we send each other. We'll send a text and be like, hey, look, we got a new patron. So really cool stuff. Aaron, anything you want to say to the programs, David, and everybody else before we close out the grid?
We look forward to seeing you next week when we release the next episode. And, if you have suggestions, make sure you email us. If you have stuff you want us to cover, make sure you email us, the usual.
At OblivionBarPod OblivionBarPod@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or find us on
social
media.
Our socials.
Yep. Look in the show notes. All the things are there. So
sandwich.
From Aaron and I, thank you so much. We will see you next week for our Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire / Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire movie review.
Possibly the longest title of any episode we've had so far.
A lot of empires, just different empires.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Clash of the Empires.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
The Empires Strike Back. That's the name of the episode.